Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to be profiling an FA deck list. This is going to be, and I'll get this out of the way first, but this is going to be a fairly casual deck list. My local store is going to be hosting a Learn to Play event for new players, but then following that up with a casual tournament. So it hasn't really been discussed what a casual looks like. I'm going to be playing this FA deck, as it's a deck that can still do things at a casual level. It can still actually play the game, which I think is pretty important. It's not a very good deck, and I'm also not playing the Halq and Auroradon engines, which in my most recent FA video, which was a while ago, was playing, and that's in a more competitive sense. If you could say FA is a competitive, that's what you would need to play to kind of combat the meta a little bit. But this is going to be a very pure FA deck list, focusing more on just the 3-card combos that FAs have. Nothing really more streamlined than that. 3-card combos is kind of the name of the game in this deck. But yeah, hoping to see how this goes. At a casual level, it should do okay, and I will get straight into it. Starting with the monsters, we're playing 3 FA Hang On Mark and 3 FA Whip Crosser. So in this deck, the level 4 FAs are very important. They are essential in every combo that you're going to do. Hang On Mac is the best one. So if you don't know what the FAs do, but they all gain a level every time an FA spell or trap is activated or effect is activated. And when they're level 7 or higher, they gain additional effects. And they have other effects, just lingering effects that stick around, and they're also to do with levels. So Hang On Mac is unaffected by activated effects from opponents' cards, monsters whose original level or rank is lower than this card's current level. Obviously, it gains a level each time a spell trap is activated, and if it's level 7 or higher, any card sent to the graveyard is banished. Only it's one-sided, so it's your opponent's card only. Hang On Mac is definitely the best one. Whip Crosser says your opponent must pay 300 life points to activate the effects of monsters whose original level or rank is lower than this card's level. It gains levels every time a spell trap is activated. And when it's level 7 or higher, your opponent cannot discard or send cards from their hands to the graveyard to activate card effects. So things like hand traps, which I don't know if there will be too many of those flying around at this casual event, but I've built this deck assuming there will be some, and we'll have to see what that looks like. But they're the level 4s. They're the only ones we're playing. They're the best 2. And with the relatively recent support in Phantom Rage, the deck becomes a lot more consistent. I'm playing 3 Dark Dragster. This card, in a pure sense, is excellent. In terms of the main combos that you can do, Dark Dragster just adds a whole other levels to the deck. It allows you to end on more substantial things rather than just big truck pass. So Dark Dragster is really good for popping your own field spells to gain their effects. And the last FA monster we're playing is 3 Auto Navigator. This card is awesome. It self-recurs itself. It's now essentially a rota, similar to how Kepler is in a DD deck, because you can now search the UA field spell, which searches an FA monster on activation. So Auto Navigator becomes a lot better with the UA field spell, and it can recur itself every single turn from the graveyard or hand by targeting the FA monster whose current level is higher than its original level, and then it special summons out, and then you can reduce the target's level back to its original level. So if you have, for example, a Whip Crosser who is level 6, you can target it with Auto Navigator. Auto Navigator will come out at 2, and Whip Crosser will go down to 4. And then obviously that's a Synchro 6, which the deck doesn't play, but if you have a field spell up, generally that means the Auto Navigator will then come out another 2 levels higher, making it a level 8, which gives you then the Synchro plays. That's it for the FA monsters. I'm playing 3 Ash Blossom and 2 Veiler. I didn't want to go super crazy if this is going to be a casual tournament, and I still might tweak these a little bit. I like Veiler as another 1-for-1 target because the deck is fairly consistent. Obviously 1-for-1's only at 1, but we have so much access to Auto Navigator as it is. It's good to be able to summon a level 1 tuner because that can open up a few other interesting levels that you might not be able to get normally, because Auto Navigator is never usually level 1. So Effect Veiler being a level 1 tuner gives you a couple more options. That's it for the hand traps. For the field spells, and we're playing a few, we're playing the UA Hyper Stadium. On activation, it adds a UA or FA monster. Then it has a second effect to reveal a field spell and pay 1,000. You can normal summon one UA or FA monster during your main phase's turn, in addition to your normal summon set. That effect does come up quite a bit. Essentially, if you open up the UA Hyper Stadium and an FA monster, a level 4 monster, that gives you some good combos as well. So I guess that is a 2-card combo that you do have access to. The best FA field spell by name is the City Grand Prix. It increases levels of FA monsters on the field by 2 during the main and battle phase. And also your opponent cannot target FA monsters you control with card effects. And then the City and the Off-Road Grand Prix both have effects that when they are popped by a card effect, you can add an FA card from deck to hand. Off-Road Grand Prix increases the levels only during the main phase. Typically, we're only running 2 because we'd rather see the City Grand Prix, but there are some instances where you'd rather have the off-road just as fodder to pop for Dark Dragster. And it just gives you more access to the field spells, because in the combos, one of these 2 field spells is also very important to see. City is what we want to end with, but if we have to pop one, popping Off-Road Grand Prix is really good. Yeah, it has another effect that if an FA monster is destroyed by battle, you can discard a random card from your opponent's hand, but that does rarely come up. The other FA spells I'm playing Test Run. Oh, I should actually note, sorry, before we keep going. So far, everything you've seen is what I would play in the competitive version of this deck, and take competitive with a pinch of salt, because it's not obviously that competitive. It relies very heavily on Auroradon. Test Run I would still play. Test Run's really good. Target an FA monster you control, changes battle position, and destroy 1 card on the field. So it's non-targeting destruction for opponent's cards, but you can also use that to pop field spells if you need to. Typically you're not doing that, but it has a second effect where you can banish it from the graveyard and target a face-up card you control, destroy it. That's when you'll use that to pop field spells, and then special summon an FA monster from the deck, and that's really good. And that banish effect as well adds levels onto your FA monsters as well. I'm playing Downforce. I would probably play this in the competitive version, because if you open up Downforce with the Auroradon combo, it allows you to extend your plays quite a bit, because, and I'm going back a while now, but if you were to watch that FA video, you would see that with the main combo you end on the Dawn Dragster, and you can extend further if you can increase the Dawn Dragster's level at all. And Downforce is one of those cards that gives you that option. Downforce or a field spell will do it. You don't have to play it in the competitive version, but it's just another card you can play to increase the Dawn Dragster's level. I'm playing 1 Pit Stop. This card is pretty bad. The first effect reads really well, but in theory, and in practice, sorry, it's actually quite bad. So it says target an FA monster you control, reduce its level by 2, and if you do, draw cards equal to the number of FA Pit Stop in your graveyard plus 1. So its first activation, and we're only playing 1 copy, so we're only going to activate it once, but it would just be an Upstart Goblin. But it reduces the FA's monster level by 2. The monster's effect will activate to increase its level by 1, meaning you will decrease level by 1. So for example, if that's the only play you have, and you have access to your level 4 monster and your Auto Navigator, the Pit Stop really ruins your day, because you're not able to use the Auto Navigator to target the Hang on Mark, because its level has been reduced. Auto Navigator has to target an FA monster whose level is higher than its original. So the Pit Stop really clashes with that in just the opening hand. But it can come up a lot later. For example, if you just set it to the field and you're ending your turn on one of the Synchros that have levels that you don't really care if they're lower. If you've got an abundance of levels, that's when the Pit Stop is okay. But its second effect is what you really want it for, which is to banish it from the graveyard, target an FA, and special summon it. So it's just a monster reborn. And you can loop that with Omega, which is something that the deck can do. That's it for those FA spells. You would definitely play the Test Run and probably the 1 Pit Stop in a competitive build. Maybe not the Pit Stop, actually, it depends. I'm playing 3 Pot of Desires. In this deck, I'm not playing, obviously, Auroradon, so I don't have to worry about Despot 01 and the Colt Wing getting banished. So I can just, Pot of Desires is pretty free in this deck. We're not really playing one-offs apart from like the Pit Stop, but if that gets banished, it gets banished. That's just whatever it is. I'm playing 3 Forbidden Chalice just as another disruptive card. This deck has quite a bit of space for hand traps. So if you were playing this at a more competitive level, you could definitely make space for quite a few hand traps. So you could cut down on the pit stop and the downforce. Obviously you need to add in the 2 Halq and Auroradon bricks, but you've got space for hand traps. And obviously you wouldn't play Desires in that build, which gives you, again, more space. You might want to play more tuners, just special summon tuners that give you access to Halq without needing to commit to Auto Navigator, but you do have quite a bit of space for hand traps. And I think post Burst of Destiny, the Phoenix Enforcer could be very good in this deck in particular, because you can use it to pop your own field spells. That would need a lot more testing to see if that's worth it, but it's something you can do. Playing Terraforming, it searches the UA field spell, which is what you're typically searching, because that's just a rotor, but you can search the other field spells if you need to. 1-for-1 just becomes an extra copy of Auto Navigator, but if you've already used Auto Navigator, it's Effect Failure, which is fine. And the 40th card is Called by the Grave. So playing a nice even 40. Yep, going to the extra deck. Playing 2 Dawn Dragster, just because we're playing a lot more casually, so I'm not too... I don't know if you'd necessarily play 2 in a competitive build, because Synchro 7s are harder to make. Actually, sorry, no, if you were playing the competitive build, Synchro 7s aren't that hard to make. In the pure build, Synchro 7s are difficult to make, unless you open up the specific 3-card combo that gets you there. 9s are fairly easy to make, so I'm playing 2 Motorhome Transport. If you don't know what it does, once it's level 11 or higher, it cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects, and if it's 13 or higher, you can Monster Reborn and FA, which is really handy. And these both increase their levels by 1 if spells and traps are activated. Playing 1 Vermilion, it's just another level 9 you can make. Level 8s is what the deck can make really consistently on turn... What can make it can do it on turn 1, but typically turn 1 I'd be going for Truck. And then the level 8s is what you can make on turn 3 and beyond. So for those level 8s, I'm playing 1 High Speed Droid Kite Rake. This card's really good, and your Auto Navigator is a Wind Machine tuner, so you can make that really easily. Omega is really good for looping your Banish quick play spells. I'm playing 1 Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend and 1 Draco Berserker of the Tenyi, just as other level 8 synchros. I guess you could play Borrelode Savage, and you definitely play that if you were playing the Halqa Fibrax. I'm not really playing many Link monsters at all, so the Borrelode Savage doesn't have as much value as it would in the competitive version, so I'm not playing it. I'm playing one other 7, which is Clearwing Fast Dragon. It's probably not going to come up all that much, and that's similar to Black Rose. Not going to come up all that often, but they're Synchro 7s. You can make them occasionally. They would probably be better off just as rank 4s or Synchro 8s. But alongside Synchro 8s, rank 4s can be made really easily, and I'm playing Tornado Dragon and Baguska just as those rank 4s. You could play Utopia Double just as an OTK button going second if you need it. For the links, I'm just playing 2 Shining Star GT. It's a pretty bad card. I won't lie. It does have monster negation, which is nice, but it's not. You're not going to make it turn 1 typically. There's a combo that could make this, but you've got the choice of this or the Dawn Dragster. But I think Dawn Dragster is just the better card to make turn 1 because it does help you because it's level. It does have levels, and levels are really important for the Auto Navigator to recur itself. And 1 Link Karibo. Link Karibo becomes really important now with the UA field spell and Auto Navigator. It comes up a lot more. So Link Karibo is just really handy to put that Auto Navigator into the graveyard, so you can then use its effect to revive itself. But that's the main and extra deck. I haven't worked out a side deck yet for this. I don't know how crazy I'm going to go with it, but what I'll do is I'll just play out a couple of test hands just to show you some of the combos that the deck can. Okay, so for our first test hand, we've got our dice ready up the top. You will need 20-sided dice if you're going to play this deck because your levels do go that high, and you'll need a few of them because you want to be keeping track of levels. I don't think officially you're allowed to use dice, but that's just what I've been using just in testing. But we'll see how we go with this first test hand. We have Auto Navigator, that's really good. Hang on back, that's really good. Desires, and Dark Dragster. So this is, it's close to being really good. So one combination of cards we are looking for is Hang on Mac or a level 4 Dark Dragster, and a field spell. One of the FA field spells, not the UA field spell. You would think that we have it with the Auto Navigator, but we actually need 2 because the Dark Dragster will pop one of the field spells and the Auto Navigator searches out the second one. So what we'll do is we'll actually start off with the Desires. 7, 8, 9, 10, and we'll draw our 2 cards. We've got a Chalice and an Auto Navigator. So no extra field spell at the moment. And we're not going to see that. We'll just have a quick peek at the banished cards. So nothing too crazy. All right. So what we'll do first then is this is not actually good at all, this hand. That's actually very subpar. Not having a field spell here is really unfortunate. This is going to be, actually this is really terrible. It's so close to being really good, but it's not going to be good at all. Because our only real play here is to normal summon the Auto Navigator. We have no way of increasing the Hang on Max level. If we did, we'd obviously normal summon the Hang on Mac and then target it with Auto Navigator to get it special summon. But the issue here is, yes, we can add the UA Hyper Stadium, but what's going to happen is the Hyper Stadium on activation will add us a monster, but there's nothing that we need because we have all of the monsters that we could want. We just have no way of increasing the level of, Hyper Stadium gets us an additional normal summon if we have another field spell, which of course we don't in this hand. So this hand is going to be a good old Linkuriboh pass with 1 set Chalice, and that's it. But going into the next turn, and actually what we should have done in that instance is actually not have searched the Hyper Stadium. That was the incorrect card, because we weren't going to play the game. We definitely searched the city and still Linkuriboh pass, but then on the next turn we would actually have a lot of options in terms of what we can do. Obviously we're probably dead because we're just Chalice and Linkuriboh, but it depends. This is going to be played at a casual tournament, so I'm hoping this might keep us alive, but I'm not optimistic. So that first test hand, not very good. Hypothetically, if let's say that these die going into our next turn, I'll just show you what we can do with these 3, just while we've got the combination here in hand. Okay, we don't need those. But what this is here, it's normal summon Hang on Mac, activate the City Grand Prix. The City Grand Prix gives it 2 levels, making it level 6, and then its own effect will activate to make it level 7. We can then, while we have a level 7 or higher, we can special summon the Dark Dragster, and he comes out at 7, but the field spell bumps it to 9. What we then do, now I'm just going to pretend we don't have access to Auto Navigator here, but we'll use Dark Dragster's effect. Dark Dragster reduces its level by 3 to pop a card on the field. So we're going to target the field spell and pop that. As soon as the field spell leaves the field, Hang on Mark will automatically go to 5 and Dark Dragster will go to 4 because they lose the 2 levels that this was providing. Then, now that this is popped, the City Grand Prix is going to activate to search, and our Hang on Mac and our Dark Dragster can both gain levels. What we would be searching with the City is our, because I've banished some cards, we don't have everything, but we would be searching an Auto Navigator at this point if we didn't have access to it. Now, what's really good, if we do have access to Auto Navigator, and this deck does, it's fairly consistent, apart from that first test hand, you can search the test run. And this is just obviously a searchable disruption, but it's also follow-up. So if you have access to Auto Navigator, you search the test run here, and that helps with your plays going, it's just another disruption. So we've now got an Auto Navigator. I don't need these cards. Because the Hang on Mac is higher than its original level, Dark Dragster is not, because its original level is 7. We can target the Hang on Mac, special the Auto Navigator. Hang on Mac goes to 4, and the Auto Navigator is going to come out at 2. The Auto Navigator gets its effect on summon to search a field spell, and the field spell we want to search, this is the one we're going to end on, is City Grand Prix. If you have the choice of field spell, for example, if terraforming is the field spell you have at the start of the combo, you would just search the off-road because it keeps the city in deck for later, and the off-roads don't have as much benefit. City is the one we want to end on though. So now we've got a 2 and a 5, and this combo is one of the only ways that we can make synchro 7s in the deck. We can use the extra monster zone, it doesn't really matter in this version. It's level 7. But now we can activate our field spell and bump him up to 7. He'll go up to 10. And that's our end board there. So we've got our Dark Law, one-sided Dark Law with a spell and trap negation. What we could do here is we could use the Auto Navigator and Dark Dragster if you want to summon out the Shining Star GT. And again, activate the city. He'll get 1 counter and he'll go to level 7. So this guy, he gains his attack based on the monsters he's pointing to, the FA monsters he's pointing to. So he gains attack equal to the levels of the FA monsters this card points to times 300. Neither player takes any battle damage from attacks involving this card. And then each time an FA spell trap is activated, you get a counter on this. And you can remove a counter to negate and destroy a monster effect. So depending, you can obviously summon this, activate this. It's untargetable. It'll come out at 2100. Like I said, the Dawn Dragster is probably better just because it has levels that you can then use with Auto Navigator on the next turn. But that's typically one of the turn 1 combos we're going for. I will do another test hand though and see what we can do. Hopefully it's better than Link Karibo, Forbidden Chalice, pass. Okay, test hand number 2. Test run, Whip Crosser, 1 for 1, Ash Blossom, Ash Blossom. Okay, so this is a little bit sketchy too, but it's not the worst. It's still actually, it's the other combo that this deck can perform. So we'll be starting off with 1 for 1, get rid of the Ash Blossom, summoning the Auto Navigator. And we'll get the Auto Navigator's effect to search a field spell, City being the best one. Actually... Yeah, no, we need to search the City, that's right. I was thinking we could add the UA and add the Dark Dragster, but again, we're in the same predicament as that very first test hand where we're missing 1 field spell to actually do anything. What we'll do next is we're going to link off the Auto Navigator for Link Karibo. While we still can. And now we have the other combo this deck can perform, which is level 4, field spell, Auto Navigator. This is the main combo that you're going to use to make any Synchro 8, any rank 4, or any level 9 Synchro. It can also make level 5, rank 5s like Infinity, but it requires you to you need to have a field spell and use the Auto Navigator effect to search a field spell. So you need 2 field spells, which we don't have, because we had to use this to add this to start with. But now we can normal the Whip Crosser, activate the city. This is where you choose. If you want to make a level 8 Synchro, you let it just go to level 6 and you don't activate its effect to make it 7. If you want to make a level 9 Synchro, you give it the extra level. In this particular hand, we want that extra level because we want to end our turn with an FA monster, so our test run is live. You could, like I said, you could make a level 8 Synchro like Omega. Obviously, it's not going to really help you. It's not a disruption or anything. And neither is the truck that we're going to make, but it's just hard to out. So we've got a level 7 Whip Crosser. We're going to target with the Auto Navigator. Auto Navigator will summon. Whip Crosser goes to 4. Auto Navigator comes out at 3, but the field spell's on the field, so the Auto Navigator is going to go to 5. So now we have a 5 and a 4. We don't get to search because we already searched our city, but with our 4 and our 5, we summon out our truck. And the truck's going to come out at level 11 because the field spell's on the field. And what we have here is a truck that cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects, but this gives it targeting protection as well. So it's very hard to out. We'll set our test run, and we have our Ash Blossom in hand. So this is decent. This is not as good as it gets, but this is good enough. We've got our Link Karibo. Test run will change the motorhome to attack mode to destroy a card on the field. That effect would then also boost the motorhome up to 12. 13 is where it gets its Monster Reborn effect, which is really nice. Obviously, we'd have the Ash Blossom as a disruption. Might have to use the Link Karibo, I don't know. But going to the next turn, we draw a card, but we can use the Motorhome, we can use the Testron in the graveyard, sorry. So we would banish the Testron to pop the City Grand Prix. Now, what would happen here is the Motorhome would go down 2 levels because the City Grand Prix left the field. It would gain a level because the Testron activated, and then it would gain another level because the the Testron resolves first. This is where you typically put a level 4 on the field. Then the City activates because it was popped, and the Motorhome goes up to 12. The Hang On Mac would come out at 5, and we get to search anything we like. And you'd search whatever you needed at that point. I mean, you could search another test run if you really wanted it. But then what we could do is, we're so close to getting this to 13. You could use the Auto Navigator, target the Hang On Mac, go down to 4, he'd come out at 1. But then he would search a field spell. Let's hypothetically, we'll just search City because it's really good to have City on field. Activating the City here, go to 7. No, we wouldn't want it to go to 7 here because the Auto Navigator has to gain 2 levels. It will go to 3. And the Motorhome is going to go up to level 15, which is nice. The Auto Navigator gets... we did the search already, and we can... no, actually, I made an illegal play. The City has to search a... I did that search test run. And now we've got a 6 and a 3. We can make a second truck if we want to. We can make Vermilion. Doesn't really matter. But now we've got our Monster Reborn with our Motorhome Transport. And you could bring out an Hang On Mac again if you want to. But yeah, that's kind of just... There was definitely more we could do there because we had the Dark Dragster in hand. But just showing you some of the plays the deck can make. And obviously you play it out based on what you see in your hand. I'll just do one more really quick test hand. See if we can do anything with it. It's probably going to be one of those first 2, though, combos that I've just shown, because they're kind of the 2 main ones that the deck can perform. If you're playing Auroradon, obviously you can do a lot more, but we're keeping it fairly casual. So we've got Hyper Stadium, Chalice, Veiler, Call by the Grave. So this is nothing. This is a very bad hand, obviously, as you can see. I mean, our opponent is not going to be playing the game all that much. This can be just our Link Karibo pass. We've got our Hyper Stadium. Search the Auto Navigator. Normal summon it. We can add a field spell. I would probably, in this situation, be adding another UA Hyper Stadium. Only because we've now already got access to Auto Navigator. This just on the next turn gives us access to another monster. We'd still need to draw something good to make, because one monster on its own is not playable. But we'd have to wait and see. And obviously our opponent's not playing the game and we end on Link Karibo. But yeah, that's the deck. It's really fun to play. Obviously you need to keep track of the levels because the levels are all over the place with a deck like this. But yeah, I'm looking forward to playing it at a more casual event where I might actually do well, and yeah, we will see how we go. Thanks for watching.